Driving at night can be a scary experience, especially when you find yourself alone on a dark, deserted road. Whether you're driving through the countryside or along a deserted highway, there's always the sense that something could go wrong. That feeling of unease is what makes these terrifying true night drive horror stories so gripping. In today's video, we will be showing you terrifying true night drive horror stories. Without further ado, let's begin. The Hitchhiker. One night, a man was driving home on a lonely road when he saw a hitchhiker on the side of the road. Feeling sorry for the man, he stopped the car and offered him a ride. The hitchhiker was a middle-aged man with a beard, who appeared friendly and grateful for the ride. As they drove, the hitchhiker told the driver stories about his life and travels. However, the driver began to feel uneasy when he noticed that the hitchhiker's stories didn't seem to add up. He also noticed that the hitchhiker's appearance seemed to change, and his beard appeared longer and more unkempt. Terrified, the driver sped off, leaving the hitchhiker standing on the side of the road. Days later, the driver read a news story about a serial killer who had been posing as a hitchhiker and murdering his victims. The killer matched the description of the hitchhiker he had picked up, and the driver realized that he had narrowly escaped becoming a victim. To this day, the driver refuses to pick up hitchhikers and still has nightmares about his encounter with the hitchhiker. The experience left him with a deep sense of unease and mistrust toward strangers, and he believes that it was a warning to always trust his instincts and be cautious of the unknown. The Unseen Presence. One night, a man was driving home from a late-night shift when he began to feel a strange presence in his car. He couldn't see anything, but he felt as though something was watching him. The feeling became so strong that he pulled over to the side of the road to catch his breath. As he sat there, he heard strange noises coming from the back seat of his car. He turned on the interior light, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. However, the noises persisted, and he began to feel even more uneasy. Suddenly, he felt a cold breath on the back of his neck, as though someone or something was breathing down his spine. The man was petrified and froze in terror, as the unseen presence seemed to surround him. He tried to turn on the car and drive away, but the engine wouldn't start. In desperation, he jumped out of the car and ran down the road until he reached a gas station. There, he told the attendants what had happened, but they dismissed his story and assumed he was just drunk or high. The man was left shaken and terrified, not knowing what to make of the experience. He couldn't explain the presence he had felt or the noises he had heard, and he was convinced that he had encountered something otherworldly. To this day, the man avoids driving alone at night and always keeps the interior light on when he does. He never fully recovered from his encounter with the unseen presence, and the memory continues to haunt him. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. One of the most famous ghost stories in the world is that of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. The story has been retold in countless variations over the years, but the basic premise remains the same. In the story, a driver is traveling down a deserted road late at night when they spot a hitchhiker on the side of the road. The driver stops to offer the hitchhiker a ride, and the hitchhiker accepts. They engage in polite conversation, but the hitchhiker becomes quiet and distant as they near their destination. When the driver arrives at the hitchhiker's requested destination, they turn to offer them a farewell, only to find that the hitchhiker has vanished into thin air. There is no sign of them anywhere, and the driver is left bewildered and scared. One version of the story even claims that the hitchhiker is the ghost of a girl who died in a car accident on that very road year before. She appears to drivers who are on the same path, hoping to warn them about the dangers of the road and prevent them from suffering the same fate she did. While many people dismiss the story as a mere urban legend, others claim to have had their own experiences with the Vanishing Hitchhiker. Some claim to have picked up a hitchhiker only to have them disappear before their eyes, while others report seeing the same hitchhiker repeatedly on the same stretch of road. Whatever the truth behind the Vanishing Hitchhiker, the story remains a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that may be lurking in the darkness, waiting to surprise us when we least expect it. The Mysterious Car. The Mysterious Car is a classic horror tale that has been told and retold in different variations over the years. The basic premise of the story involves a driver who encounters a car that seems to be following them relentlessly, no matter how fast they drive or how many turns they take. The story usually begins with a driver traveling alone at night when they spot a car behind them. At first, they assume it's just another driver who happens to be traveling in the same direction, but as time passes, the driver becomes more and more convinced that the other car is following them. The driver tries to lose the car by speeding up, slowing down, and taking different turns, but no matter what they do, the car stays close behind. The driver begins to panic as they imagine all sorts of scenarios. Perhaps the driver of the other car is a criminal, a vengeful ex-lover, or even a ghostly presence. As the driver becomes more and more desperate, they start to lose control of their car, swerving and skidding in their attempts to escape. Finally, in a moment of desperation, the driver pulls over to the side of the road and waits for the other car to catch up. But when the other car pulls up beside them, the driver is shocked to find that it's empty. There's no one behind the wheel. In some versions of the story, the driver is even more horrified when they realize that the car itself is old and rusty, with no signs of life or movement. The mysterious car is a classic horror tale that plays on our fears of the unknown and the unexplainable. It's a reminder that sometimes, the things that scare us the most are the things we can't see or understand. The Headless Driver. The Headless Driver is a spine-tingling horror story that centers around a driver who encounters a mysterious figure on the road, a figure without a head. The story begins with a lone driver traveling on a dark, deserted road late at night. As they drive along, they spot a figure walking along the side of the road. At first, the driver assumes it's just a hitchhiker, but as they get closer, they realize something is terribly wrong. The figure has no head. The driver is understandably terrified and tries to swerve to avoid the figure, but it steps out in front of the car, blocking its path. The Headless Driver is a classic horror story that taps into our deepest fears of the unknown and the supernatural. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes, the things that scare us the most are the things that we can't explain or understand. The story serves as a warning to always be cautious on dark, deserted roads. You never know what you might encounter. The Disappearing Road. The disappearing road is a mysterious and eerie phenomenon that has been reported in various parts of the world. It is said to occur when a driver is driving down a road and suddenly the road disappears, leaving the driver stranded in the middle of nowhere. This phenomenon is often accompanied by strange weather patterns, such as sudden fog or rain, which make it difficult for the driver to see. Some explanations for this phenomenon suggest that it may be the result of optical illusions or atmospheric conditions that cause the road to appear to disappear. Others believe that it may be related to the paranormal, with some people claiming to have encountered ghosts or other supernatural entities on disappearing roads. The Abandoned Town. The abandoned town is a common theme in horror stories and movies. It typically involves a town or village that has been deserted for many years, often as a result of some tragedy or disaster. The town may have been evacuated due to a natural disaster, such as a hurricane, or it may have been abandoned due to a man-made disaster, such as a nuclear accident. The abandoned town is often portrayed as a spooky and eerie place, with abandoned buildings and streets that are now overgrown with vegetation. It is also often said to be haunted, with ghosts or other supernatural entities roaming the streets and buildings. The abandoned town is a popular setting for horror stories and movies, as it evokes feelings of isolation, fear, and the unknown. So guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. For more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.